What's up, guys? It's Screw Loose again from TwinstiqLP with another SnowRunner side-by-side. Today we're going to look at the International Paystar 5070, and we're going to put that up against the Voron D-53233. We'll take a look at the Paystar first. This only has one engine option, but it's definitely enough to get you by. Balance gearbox will be used here. The option for high range and off-road is available, but it really doesn't need it. It's also riding on stock suspension. Raised is completely unnecessary, and we'll get to more of that soon. We're using the maximum 46-inch mud tires here. Switchable all-wheel drive comes stock, and it is upgraded here with the lockable differential and the extended medium winch. Paystar is essentially an anvil with fenders, pretty utilitarian even for all the purpose-built vehicles in this game, and it'll handle whatever you want to throw at it. It runs the gamut for add-on support, including seismic vibrator. And as I mentioned up at the top, you do not need the raised suspension. You're just gonna introduce instability because it raises the center of gravity so much. It already sits high on stock suspension. Even in Taymyr, where the mud is like 4 feet deep, the raised suspension doesn't really help you very much. You're still dragging these enormous differentials through the mud. The positives just don't outweigh the negatives in this case. Alright guys, let's take a look at the Voron D now. This is using the third and best engine option. Special off-road gearbox is your only option, and we are using raised suspension. You need that with these trucks. We are also rolling on 50-inch mud tires, and there's full-time all-wheel drive and lock differential by default, and we are upgraded with the extended medium winch. I initially wanted this side-by-side to be the Paystar versus the Voron A, but the Voron A is actually missing the raised suspension upgrade. The game is missing it, it's just not here, and I think it needs it. So I went to the Voron D, and it's actually a hell of a truck. There's a lot of add-on capability, only limited by the lack of support for the seismic vibrator. The Vorons, actually Urals in real life, are more or less the same. They share similar stats with each other, and actually the Taiga. The big plus to these vehicles is that you don't have to worry much about the drivetrain management. Aside from dropping in and out of low-low or low-high, they're very powerful and will more or less just get you where you need to go. But be careful on bigger rocks because they can be a little bouncy and you just find yourself on your side pretty easily. Both the two trucks in this test are very similar in base stats, but the Voron will take a power lead. Alright guys, and finally, as with the last two videos that I've put up, I'm still dealing with driver encoding errors for my GPU, so until that's fixed, it's just going to have occasional little stutters here and there. I think I've more or less got it worked out, but it really is the best I can make it happen until it's updated and fixed. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's take a look at the route. Alright guys, here we are in Taymyr, and for this route we're going to go ahead and start from the drill rig and take a load of concrete slabs up to the lumber mill. The route here is muddy, but it's not very hilly. Although with all the testing I did, this is the most telling in terms of like heavy capabilities. As usual, we're going to follow this in real time, and I'll get back to you all in a few minutes. Okay, so you guys can see that the Voron is certainly more suited to this environment as it came in so much quicker. It's also really tough, proven by the shot that it took to the front end on those makeshift concrete pavers a ways back. In other tests, though, I noticed the Voron would kind of run out of steam going up a steep grade, and I'd have to like force a downshift or just drop it into low to continue, which is fine. It has that off-road transmission for that reason. The Paystar, on the other hand, even though it doesn't do quite as well in the deep mud, will still hold its own pretty well here. The off-road transmission helps slightly, but it's really not worth using versus the fuel loss. The winch comes in more handy. And the big hit that I took to the suspension actually comes from the rear fender wells hanging down a little low, and that's maybe the only real help that the raised suspension would provide. But it may be just too unstable. That same spot may have just turned me over. But really, if you're more careful than I was, you probably won't have that issue anyways. Alright guys, so let me know what you think. Do you like the Voron better or the Paystar better? I actually happen to think they both perform pretty well. I would use either of them. I really enjoy the problem-solving aspect of this game. You know, if you get hung up, you got to work your way out of it. The tools are there for you, and that to me is part of the enjoyment. But I do, on the other hand, understand that sometimes you don't want to spend your time rescuing a vehicle or, you know, being stuck or whatever. It gets a little obnoxious from time to time. You just want to get where you want to go and be done with it. Yeah. I've been Screwless from TwinstiqLP.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.